first there was Skinner, Crosser, and Job. And then there was Skinner, Job, and Sorokin. And that's what the team is mainly consisted of. But there's always different faces in the crowd and hands in the mix. We're going to talk a little bit about Randy Rains. Randy Rains and Clarkie and a couple other people would help with the car, come by the shop, or go to the track to be another pair of hands or a pair of eyes. And Randy's involvement led to some other things occurring. And Tom's going to talk about some of these people and their importance to the team and what their duties were and how it kind of ended up.
This is Randy Rains here, pushing the car along, and Randy, his family, the Rains family, lived in Santa Monica, and Bob Skinner was good friends with his older sister Roxy. They went to school together, still friends forever, and they had a younger sister, Randy and Roxy, Robin Rains. And so sometimes Roxy would come by the garage and bring Robin with her. And ultimately that's how Mike Sorokin ends up meeting Robin Rains. And anyway, all of the Rains family, they would come to the races with us. Mainly Randy and Robin would come to the races with us from time to time. We tried to get a lot of the local people to come with us to the races just to participate in the whole thing.
Share the wealth.
Share the wealth. Anyway, we always had a good time. We never rolled around in the dirt too much, and we had a good time. Anyway, and then one thing led to another, and then pretty soon Robin turned into Robin Sorokin, after some time. Here's a nice picture. This is Robin Sorokin, myself, Bob Skinner. This is after winning some event, and this Mike's getting some money. And anyway,
it looks like the Mickey Thompson meet.
It probably is.
It's
a Sunday 32 car field.
Yeah, there's Mickey over here
Yep.
coming in on the edge with a wad of money.
Now, Robin wasn't just there for moral support. Robin took over the tasks of helping Mike pack his parachutes, which is one of the most important deals on the team. You can't get the car stopped, you're in for a pretty bumpy ride. A lot of the teams made the driver pack his own parachute just for that reason. But Robin was very skilled with it, and she packed a lot of Mike's parachutes.
Yeah, I think here's Mike and Robin packing the parachute. I think this is Riverside.
I like this picture because it's hard to tell in the photograph, but Robin's looking a little matronly in that photo.
Who would that be?
I think there's a little baby Adam cooking in
I
there.
think a little Adam Sorokin is on
Maybe
his
a
way.
Top Fuel shoe in there?
Yeah, he's on his way.
It looks like it might be in his blood, huh?
Yep.
Yeah.
He might have come by it naturally.
Right.
She was a beautiful woman, and from anybody's accounts, she was more beautiful on the inside than on the outside. She was just a sweetheart and a wonderful mom.
Mike and Robin, they got married. An arty picture of Robin.
Yeah.
Great shot.
Here's another picture. A series of pictures, I guess. It looks like getting ready to push off
Giving Mike a kiss.
for a race. Yeah.
There was a common saying back then, no tits in the pit. That didn't apply to the surfers. They welcomed Robin as they would any, team member or anybody, willing to lend a hand. And to me, that's another sign of the progressiveness of the surfers. I don't know if you ever got any weird looks letting a girl touch your car, but
Nobody cared.
nobody cared then. Yeah, but I think it's great that Robin was able to share all these experiences with you. In the history of the surfers, the original car, the original Surfmobile, was a copy of a Greek car. But the Greek's car wasn't a Fuller car, it was a Stuckey car. But it was heavily influenced by Fuller. Everybody was influenced by Fuller, and the Fuller influence didn't stop. When the car got front halved a few times in its final incarnation, there was still a Fuller influence to be seen, and Tom is going to explain it to us.
Anyway, Kent Fuller, he's everybody's hero. And he single-handedly kept drag racing from having ugly cars. And then Tom Hanna and the other bodybuilders came by and helped gift wrap all this beauty all in one pile. It's beautiful stuff. Anyway, Kent Fuller he's due the credit for much of all the nice looking things. Okay, so one of the things he did, and there's lots of Fuller cars that were like this, not lots, but he would put 2 radius rods going out to the front axle. There'd be 2 radius rods on one side and a single one on the other side. And then the thing that made the wheels turn, that rod came down, and it was usually on the side with the two radius rods and the steering, and then the other side would have a single one. So when we made our last version of the car, I decided we'll just steal Fuller's idea, but we'll flip it around.
Yeah.
Because the 2 radius rods and the steering means there's 3 things coming to this side, and there's a single thing coming to this side. So 3 and 1 doesn't make sense.
Visually,
The balance of it. Even though it's the best way to do it. So I thought, well, let's just change this. We'll put the single one, we'll put the steering on the same side as the single radius rod, and then we'll have the double radius rod over here. So we have 2 things going on both sides,
so it's more symmetrical.
optically.
Yeah.
So that's what we did.
But functionally,
It's probably not as good as the way Fuller did. But it's good enough.
yeah.
Yeah, but the leverage on the drag link side is trying to torque the axle, but it only has a single support. So there's probably a little bit of monkey business on that side.
Yeah, I could maybe twist the whole axle, but the axle, of course, by now is pretty thick, or at least on our car it was. The idea of having a thin axle and hanging lead on it didn't quite. You're going to put lead all over it anyway. So anyway, this was our last version. So we've got the single radius rod coming down here, the rod that does the actual steering. And then on this side, there's 2 radius rods coming down to the axle. So once again, we have to fess up to stealing Kent Fuller's ideas, even if we butchered them a little bit
Yeah.
and made them less than optimum. But it worked great,
Yeah.
of course. And it made me happy because visually I like the balance of it.
Good time for drag racing, but a good time for Greg News. Because, like you said, Engel was doing this, Grauer was doing that, and every week was an ad by one of them. So and so ran this, Sam ran that, blah blah. Buy our shit, sorry, buy our stuff. And then the next week, now it's the other guy. This guy ran this, or maybe even the same week, just 2 different drag strips. Our guy ran this, your guy ran that. Buy our stuff, and it was wonderful because. You didn't know who to believe anyway, unless you were right in the middle of it. But the ads were the best part because, he ran 1/10 of a mile an hour faster than that guy, so my stuff's better. They got nasty some of the times, and between the teams, some of the,
It was never vicious, though.
I never
There
believed
was
it
some
was
vicious
real.
verbal in confrontations,
Mm-hmm.
but the ads never got out of control.
It was all masterminded by Ed Iskandarian.
Well, Iskandarian started the whole thing by taking on the Engel guys and then in some cases the Howard guys. And Howard ran real good with a 55 Chevy, and he would advertise that, that's the core of the market, was the small block Chevy. And Chrysler stuff was kind of insignificant in the grand scheme of things. And then Bones would run good, and Iskey'd run an ad. And then Iskey was great for calling his stuff some word that he either invented or he got from somebody. There was this a camshaft he called the Superleggera camshaft.
Yeah.
And
What does
that
that
was
mean?
Zuchel's favorite word. When he thought something was good, he said, "That's Superleggera." Zuchel got that off the front of an Oscar, a race car,
Right.
Italian sports car. It's Superleggera means super light.
Uh.
And Iskandarian says, "Superleggera, what does that mean?" And Davey told him, and the next day it showed up in an ad.
Superleggera.
We had the new Superleggera 505 five cycle.
Five cycle.
Yeah, he had a 5 cycle because he counted the breathe cycle in between.
Ah.
And
Wasn't it hyperbolic or
yeah,
some word like that was stuck in there? Iskey came up with the best stuff.
They were great. The ads were wonderful.
he was very creative, and then he had Millar on his side. And, and
Pete Millar. Yep.
was one of the better cartoonists, but he was also an exceptionally brilliant mind.
Yeah.
When it came to that kind of stuff, those making up little ditties about things and naming people, he's the one that came up with the reference to Stonewoods and Cook as Pebble, Pulp, and Chef. And that all came in the because you didn't want to slander the guy by using his name. You turn it over to Millar, and he'd come up with something like that, and that's how they made reference to Stonewoods and Cook, and kind of put him down with Pebble, Pulp, and Chef. It was a fun time.
Yeah.
Great stuff.
Yeah.
And Pete Millar's, his cartoons were so good and so realistic. I mean, you look at them and you could figure out who the person was.
Oh, you could draw the people so you knew who they were. Yeah.
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 He did a SEMA poster one time, and it must have had 200 people on that poster. And if you were in the middle of it like I was, you could recognize them all.
Yeah.
There was no question about it. He'd miss on the women sometimes because he didn't pay as much attention to the women.
Mhm.
And when he knew all the faces, he had all the photographs and what have you.
Yeah.
And he turned out some great stuff.
I mean, when he'd show a motor scattered, every piece
Every
was
little
there.
time. Bolts
He
and
would
nuts.
draw each nut
Yeah.
and bolt.
Yeah, that the cartoon King of Kings that ran in the drag news was the effort between Black and Zuchel and Pink, and they were the three Chrysler engine builders, and they had and McEwen was involved from the M&H standpoint, and Marvin was with him, and the guys from Goodyear were over here in this camp, and I mean all of the people that were in there, everybody that was racing recognized all those people. But it's just sensational.